Greetings and welcome, my friends. This is Gladiator, a new Fight Club-style deck featuring some cards that we have previously not used in any of the fighting decks. We've got some elements of the typical Undying Golgari decks, which brings with it some degree of card draw. And as with any fighting deck, we've got some big men that are willing to go toe-to-toe with the opponent's men. We do have regular removals for enemy men, as well as a way of dealing with other permanents. We're using Smuggler's Surprise to enable us to get a pair of our men down at instant speed. We can ambush a pair of attackers, or get a pair of surprise men at the end of the opponent's turn that can give us lethality on our next attack. The surprise does have a couple of other modes which could be useful, but we're mostly looking to bring down a surprise pair of men. Tail Swipe is our fight spell. It can be played at instant speed, but gives our guy a stat boost when we play it on our turn. We use this over other similar cards for its cheap cost. The 1 mana makes a big difference. Cathartic Parting is a great way to deal with opposing artifacts or enchantments while giving us a chance to restock our deck with removals. Sure, the opponent could easily draw their card again, but then they have to spend time and mana to replay it. Mosswood Dreadknight is a staple of Undying Golgari that we're using as card draw, as well as something that resists opposing removals. Plus, the knight has trample, so it will excel in combat involving small men. Tear Asunder is a powerful tool in our arsenal. With it, we can snipe opposing artifacts and enchantments and eliminate them for the rest of the game. For an additional 2 mana, we can use this to snipe enemy men, and they too will be gone for good. Risky Shortcut is a card we're trying out. It will draw us 2 cards, then each player will lose 2 life. The shortcut is risky, but we have Sheoldred who loves it when we draw cards, and the risk is minimized. But the opponent gets hit for 2 while we get a pair of fresh ones. Seems fair. Sheoldred makes all our card draw turn into life gain, which is great, because every extra card will cost us some life. And she does the opposite for the opponent, who will lose 2 life for every card they draw. What's great about Shelly is we get all that, and a 4/5 body for only 4 mana. She is a threat that can end games or give us a chance to stay in them if we're taking damages. And she is an effective fighter. Her Death Touch lets us take down men of any size. The Dark Knight is another powerful card in our arsenal. He's great at beating removals since we can bring him back when he's killed off, and if he sticks on board, he's got life link, and a powerful discard effect when he swings in. The Green Overlord is ramp early on, and then a big 6/5 beater when we need the body. Being able to ramp up with the impending ability helps us get out our bigger threats, and fixes our colors as well. The Black Virtue is a fantastic card. It's early removal for small men, then in the late game we can play it out as an enchantment and use it to get men from any grave. Everyone wants to come over to the shark's side, even enemy men. Lord Voldemort is the nightmare we aim to use when we pick a fight. With a tail swipe, we fight an enemy and gain 9 life right away. Then we can play out the enemy and have it on our side. Not only are we taking out men and blockers, but we get to keep them and add more pressure to the opponent. GG's opponent, and thanks for coming on the big show. For lands, we're playing 2 Fabled Passage, the land we can use to fetch out any basic from our deck. 4 Wastewood Verge, the forest that becomes a duel when we have a forest or swamp in play. 3 Underground Mortuary, the Golgari Surveil land. 3 Restless Cottage, the Golgari Man land, also known as the Angry Outhouse. 6 Forest, and 6 Swamps. Playing the deck is fairly simple, with our early turns being used to draw with a Dread Knight, and playing out an Overlord with Impending. Card draw is important to finding the weapons we need, or getting removals, as well as finding more lands to keep making land drops. We need every land to help carry out our plans. The mid-game is all about getting down some of our threats while continuing to draw cards. Fighting enemy men to clear them out works great when we can get them back on our side, and using them to take down the opponent. That's the deck, boys. Let's go play some games.
Do you want to play a game?
This is Tapatio the hot sauce. No wait, it's Tapio. He will try to make us tap out, but we're wearing pants. We're kicking things off with a Shuffler special. This one is 1 land short of seeing us be able to drop an Impending Overlord, and going right up to 4 mana when we do. Keep your pants on. I cannot lie, not drawing a land right away is kind of scary. It's like a kick in the gut. We draw a Surveil land, and we'll play it out right away. On top we have a Verge, which is just fine. It's great not being stuck on 2 for 5 turns. The opponent plays out a Carrot Cake and gets a Rabbit token. Nothing to worry about there yet, and it looks like they also kept a Shuffler special that hasn't worked out all that great for them. I did consider sending their cake packing with our parting, but let's work on our board first. If we've got the mana advantage, that is something we can stretch out into board advantage. They eat their cake like a pie and seem to like the card they've got on top. The mana is flowing nicely, but unfortunately we've got no real action in hand. Did they really keep non-land cards on top? That's 2 looks they had and they kept on top each time, and they've still got only 2 lands. You gotta use the tools you've got, bro. We draw a shortcut and we'll fire it off. That's a pair of fresh ones, and that could mean some weaponry. We get another Overlord and a land, but at least we can play out the Overlord for another land. It might be the slow way, but the opponent has given us plenty of time. They finally drop a 3rd land. Welcome to the game, bro. And they follow it up with an Overlord of their own. Our Surveil land shows us a man land on top, and we'll hang on to it, in case we need an extra body to hit the opponent with. Plus we can draw it right away with our Dreadknight. Now we'll send their Overlord back in time. The big men on board will be ours. They'll have to draw it again and spend time and mana to play it a second time. They impending a white Overlord. That's a bit more concerning, especially since we don't have any way of dealing with it at the moment. Let's not panic though. Keep those pants on, boys. We'll play out our knight this turn and send in the Overlord. Let's see how they block. And they don't, they elect to take the full 6 right to the face. They impending a green Overlord and left themselves only 1 colorless mana up. They send in the flying tokens, but we'll snipe 1 right out of the air with our fly swatter. Tail swipe. 2 damages is fine, but 4 is not. The Shuffler is bent on not giving us any weapons. Luckily we can't draw another surprise. We've got all of them in hand. Let's power up the Angry Out House and send the team. That's 13 damages, so they'll want to block up. They fire off a Sunfall, but they forgot to attack in first. This will take care of the men on board, but we've got an Angry Out House that can still get in there. There couldn't be a better time for Lord Voldemort to show up. We've got so much mana that we can activate the outhouse, and still have the mana we need to fire off a surprise. They've got to be careful what they play out. Being on 3 life now doesn't leave much room for error. They play out another green Overlord for the full price. It can block the outhouse, but it won't do much against Lord Voldemort. The time has come to give them a surprise. We'll mill and drop in 2 men, with one of those being Voldemort. And Shelley too, she'll join the party. And now we fight. Voldemort will go toe-to-toe with their white Overlord, and right after the fight we'll play it out. They're going to need another sweeper. They snipe Shelley, but after the 2 damage trigger, so it's too late now. The damages will happen even if Shelley is in a pine box. They burn up more mana to draw a card. There's likely no sweeper coming, and they are down to their last moments. That's definitely not a sweeper. It's GG's with a little bit of cheese. This is Azur Eminer. He likes reading, doing math, and polishing his pants. We get a 3-lander to start this one, and we've got doubles of the Dark Knight and the Dread Knight. We've got only 1 green with the Mortuary, but that's fine. Keep your pants on. Our Surveil land shows us another Surveil land on top. That's fine, as that will be our double green. They play out a Valley Rot Caller. I remember this deck. It was fun, but was vulnerable to removals. We'll go for draw. Getting more ammo in hand would be nice, but we're drawing all lands. The Shuffler is hilarious. They drop another Rot Caller, and that is bad news. If they've got more men in hand, the amount of drain could get rather frightening. We draw a Shelley, which is finally some good news. We'll play out our Surveil land and check out our top card. That's a Tail Swipe, which we'll be happy to have. We can use it to take down a Rot Caller. They play out a Vanity, and it will take out our Dread Knight, but he wasn't going to be able to block anyways. Playing out more men for more drain from the Rot Callers would have been a better move. It's painful, but card draw is king. And if they use up removals on a knight that keeps coming back, that's fine too. They fire off a cash grab to try to dig up more men. And that's what they should have been focusing on, since 1 more guy on board, and they can drain for 4 while attacking in for 2. That is a pile of damages, and we're already nearly at half our starting life total. This turn we'll play out Shelley and hold back our knight to be able to block. We've got to hold the line right here. We can't keep losing life. The Vanity's 3rd act gives one of their men a Wicked Roll token, but let's snipe their guy before any of that happens. They activate their Angry Outhouse and send it in along with the Rot Collar. All signs point to us going down, but we'll fight to the end. We definitely can't take the 4 damages from the outhouse, so we'll block there. We'll live, but we are on the edge of being eliminated. This turn has to be a Dark Knight turn. We need the lifelink body on board. We'll lose the Dread Knight, but I think we have better odds of surviving with the Dark Knight. They trade in some of their food tokens for cards. A very solid move, and surely they'll draw into more pressure. They activate the Angry Outhouse and send it in, but they keep the Rot Collar back. Smells like they made an oopsie-poopsie in their pants. Shelly will gladly take down their outhouse. They can't handle our men boys, that's GG's. This is Itchy No. Maybe he meant Itchy Nose? Itchy Knob? Itchy Noob? Keyboards are so difficult, right bro? We get a 4-lander this time with a removal, Shelly, and a parting. This is alright, though we could always use a Dread Knight early on. Keep. Our Surveil land shows us a passage on top. We do need to hit at least 5 mana, so we'll keep it. They play out an Annex, they'll be the first ones to draw an extra card. It'll cost them 2 life, but it's a price worth paying. We draw a Dread Knight, and we'll use him to draw an extra card. We could have used the parting on their Annex, but we've still got time before they can unlock the Ritual Chamber. They drop a Scholar, and being tapped out gives us a shot at using our parting without fear of a counter spell. They follow up their Scholar with a talent and get an Otter token. We'll snipe their Annex right off the bat. And we'll snipe their Scholar as well. We've gotten rid of their 2 most dangerous permanents. We draw a Tear Asunder, and we'll snipe their talent with it. Easy come, easy go. They fire off a removal on our Dread Knight, but that's what he does. He'll eat removals all day and come back for seconds, or thirds even. Our land drawing skills are second to none. 2 draws and they are both lands. Shout out to the Shuffler. He's back. Got any more removals, bro? He's still a bit hungry and could use another. They have a momentum breaker. That works fine. Let's do it all over again. At least this time around, only one of our 2 draws was a land. Let's get our knight back in there. He's had seconds, but is still hungry for more removals. Despite all our card drawing from the knight and taking some hits, our life totals are rather close. Let's change that and get in for damages, then follow it up with Shelly. They fire off a removal and try to snipe Shelly, but we've got a surprise for them. We can use this to give Shelly hex proof and indestructible. If they have another removal, that's fine. We want them to burn their removals. Looks like they used up all their juice and left nothing in the bottle. They're getting down low and Shelly is taking out chunks of their life. They play out another momentum breaker, but those are only more card draw. If they have another removal, now is their chance to snipe Shelly. They are out of juice. We keep Shelly on board and we'll get our Dread Knight back for more action. Let's fire up the Angry Out house and get in for damages. They'll need to block both if they want to stay alive. Bro saw he wasn't going to survive and took the hits. Damages, bro, damages. Also GG's. This is Rhea Death's Majesty. Their middle name is Deaths. Should we be afraid? We get a Shuffler special, but we do have a Dread Knight to get an extra draw. We've got some of our heavies as well as a utility removal. It's a risk, but if we find lands like we did last game, we'll be fine. Keep your hopes up. We draw a 3rd land right away, and that could secure our future. Our opponent loves playing a lot of colors. 3 is tough to manage, especially when green isn't one of them. They dropped the new mill stone, but we've got the perfect removal for it in hand. And now we know what they are up to. That's right, bro, better use it before you lose it. We won't be smelling this later. Where it's going, nobody will ever find it again. Let's play out the passage we drew and fetch out a land. Then we'll play out our Dread Knight. That's right, burn through those removals. Our knight will get us another card this turn. Thanks, bro. They sniped him before. Let's see if they burn another removal on him again. Let's double up and see if we can get more removals out of their hand. They fire off an explosion and that'll take care of our knights, but that is only a temporary measure. Our men will be back. They unearth their Mind Breaker, and it'll mill out half our deck, but it'll also be gone for good after we take the hit. We've got a big surprise coming for them if they tap out yet again. We've got enough mana to fire off the surprise and get our big men down at the end of their turn. They tap out and we've got them. There is no chance of a counter spell. They blew their Jace, but now it's our turn. Let's fire off the surprise and put a smile on their face. With the Angry Out House, we've got more than we need for lethality. That's right, good night, sleep tight, don't let the shark man bite. Also GG's. And that, my friends, is another satisfied customer.